And now it's time for Secrets of the Rice Fields with your host, Patio Fields. Secrets of the Rice Fields. Secrets of the Rice Fields. Oh, hello. This is Patio Fields, down on the rice fields. And what a beautiful, tranquil morning it is here. The early morning sun is glinting off the freshly filled fields. And it's just delightful. Why don't we stop and admire? Okay, let's do that. Well, as you can see, these fields are filled with water. They're all, completely submerged, and it's all nice and, it's flat. There's no little parts coming above the water. So why doesn't the water sink into the ground? Often when it rains, the water will just sink into the ground, but here it doesn't. I presume because these channels that feed the fields and fill them up, they fill them up until the ground is saturated. That's my theory. And perhaps, we're quite close to the river here, so just over there is the river. So I guess the water table is not so far down, but I can't saturate the whole ground down to the water table. Is it the type of soil? Maybe it's a slightly clay soil, so the water doesn't just sink into the ground. It's not, it's obviously not a desert area. The air is not dry. Except, in the winter, when it's very dry, but of course they don't fill up the fields. Got to be careful. It's actually quite dangerous. These channels are quite deep. So this water, I guess, is coming in here, and then it feeds into here. But you can see this is obviously an overflow from the field. So maybe the water pours in, and when it's completely saturated, it starts to come out again into these. I don't really understand how the system works. As you may have gathered, I don't really understand how the system works, Yeah, why does the water stay in the field? I could just ask ChatGPT, and I probably will. But I think it's good to try to work it out yourself, don't you think? Rather than rely on the AI, our overlords. Here there's still, maybe this one is still filling. I think this is some kind of, pump or some switch, isn't it, that maybe opens and closes the pipe to let the water from that channel into here. It must take a lot of water, don't you think? It's not so deep, obviously. It's about, 10 centimeters. But look at the size of the field. This field is big, and there's a lot of fields. That must take a lot of water. A lot of water, Growing rice, producing rice really does require a lot of water. This field has not yet been filled. As you can see, it's been ploughed and it's been evened. I don't know what the correct word is, but it's all been nice and flattened. Just next to it, this field has been flooded. We are getting close to planting season, because planting season is usually Golden Week, which is the first week of May. And we are coming up to the end of April with a tractor to kind of churn up and really smooth the mud. You can't have it lumpy. You don't want lumpy mud. You want it nice and smooth, because the seedlings that they plant are very small and I guess quite delicate and weak. So they need a bit of a help to get going. But once they get going, they're okay. The other thing I wonder about is the water rights. I presume the farmers don't just have free access to this much water. I mean, it's obviously coming from somewhere, and I presume it's coming from the river, from the Arakawa, but they have to pay? How does it work? Do they pay for the amount of water, or they just pay a license to access the water for these fields? This is just a small section that I often visit, but you know, once you get out of Tokyo, there are rice fields covering the country, you know, in some places, huge rice fields, and they all need to be flooded like this. I guess this pipe is, as I mentioned before, it's just to take the excess. It's like in your bath, isn't it? Like if you fill the bath up too much, there's that little hole and the water starts to drain away so it doesn't overflow. Because maybe that's another point. I mean, if you just left the tap on for these fields, it could just overflow, couldn't it? I mean, it's a small pipe. This sandbag, I think, is to block up the hole, so it's like the plug. In this area, there are a couple of, you notice there are a couple of fields here which have not been cultivated yet. I presume is owned or rented. I don't know how it works, by different farmers. I don't think it's not just one farmer who owns these fields. How does it work? The mysteries of the rice fields, right here. Like, who owns this whole area? Is it one person? Does each farmer own? They actually own the land, or do they rent it from a larger landowner? I think this is where the water is coming from the river, which is over there. And there's a pipe that's bringing it here, and then it's kind of distributed all across these fields. Is that possible? Like through all these channels? Like the water comes over here and then down there and then into all the fields, like in a network of small channels. So, Nosai, which is the something network, Anshin security network. I think this means like don't drop like litter. Indeed. There's a lot of infrastructure, isn't there, to make rice? A lot more than you may say compared to maybe wheat. Wheat, you got the field. You need to plow the field. They plow the fields here, but then this whole network of water and flooding, and then maintaining the water for a couple of months, and then draining the water, and then the rice grows in just the ground. It's amazing. I love it. I love watching the cycle of the rice. Right. I think we have well, we haven't actually solved the mystery, have we? In fact, we've just added more mysteries on top of mysteries. You know, why doesn't the water sink? How does this whole drainage system work? I kind of, in a way, I'd like to keep it a mystery. It's nice to have these mysteries. I mean, it just works. Anyway, from the rice fields, this is Patio Rice Fields saying thank you and goodbye.